What's up, Urban Acolyte family? My name is Prince, and I'm an Urban Acolyte, and this is another episode of Star Wars Chat. So I was having a talk with my homeboy, Geekdom 101, and I said, dude, I should start this new segment called Your Reddit Theory Sucks, where I just go through Reddit and find some of the more interesting fan speculations posted over there and read them live and respond to them live to you, as soon as I finish reading it, without prepping it all for the video. I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you want me to do a Your Reddit Theory Sucks segment, or add it to the kind of videos I do? I don't know. But anyway, my main man, Brandon Perkins, sent a Reddit speculation from their Star Wars speculation thread to me. And I said, dude, what if I just read this live in a video and respond there? Since I was kind of sitting around deciding what do I want to post today, I was thinking about doing my Cheer It M-Way video, but I don't know. I might still get around to doing that. It's still pretty early. So let's see. I have no idea what this speculation is, but I think it's got something to do with Rey. So this is my first time looking at this. So let's see. All right, the title is The Definitive Case for Rey Solo. Oh man, this looks long. All right, so in the time since I laid eyes on the shot list for episode 8 until now, I've been building all the evidence for what was the most shocking revelation to me, that Rey is Han and Leia's daughter. I don't care about your opinion on the legitimacy of the shot list, so spare your cries of BS and read the evidence below. I will discuss here all the evidence that's been present from the get-go. This will be a long read. The earliest rumors concerning Star Wars Episode 7, the old extended universe. Well, this already sounds like it's going to be bullshit to me. Let's start with the old EU. Perhaps the most popular story outside of the films in Star Wars is the story of Jacen and Jaina Solo. Twins born to Han and Leia, one an embodiment of light, the other a Darth Vader wannabe. We already know the story group is picking and choosing between different story elements from the old EU, and nothing was better than the gripping dynamic between the Solo twins. Until now, but more on that in a bit. Okay, so who is the author of this? Teddy B the GOAT. Teddy B, the greatest of all time. All right, so Teddy B, first off, I want to acknowledge this because it's important to state this. The story group may be picking and choosing from the extended universe. That's actually not true. What they're doing is they're telling a story, and at least this is what Dave Filoni's statements were. Dave Filoni said, in the process of telling a story, if there's something that's already happened, a character that already exists, an event or a ship that already exists in the extended universe, right, in Legends, instead of, creating a whole new thing, we just take that and incorporate it into our story. So it's not really they're picking and choosing. It's more like this is where we're going with this story. And if elements already existed previously, we're just going to adapt them into the story. And I'm saying that because George Lucas never never accepted Jacen and Jaina, the Solo twins, in the story that he wanted to tell. That's coming from Pablo Hidalgo, right? Additionally, George Lucas, in his story, Luke Skywalker never marries. There's not a Mara Jade Skywalker character, right? So as much as there are people who want the Solo twins or Mara Jade Skywalker, sometimes you just have to say, you know what, George Lucas didn't want this, and how much of George Lucas's plans or his desires for episodes 7, 8, and 9 is the story group going to accept, right? So maybe they decide, you know what, George didn't want this, we're not going to do it. George didn't want Mara Jade, we're not going to have Mara Jade, right? Maybe we can have characters that are similar, right? There's a big redhead in the latest, in that Princess Leia, the Star Wars Annual #2, and I looked at that, I said, did they kind of take her from Mara Jade Skywalker, and then she's an engineer. She joins the rebellion. What if she ends up being Rey's mother, right? So I've already presented a possibility where they've got a character that may have been inspired by Mara Jade who could turn out to be Rey's mother, which would completely debunk everything that, or I won't say debunk, but provide an alternative view, which actually would kind of throw a wrench in what you're saying here. I don't know if I want to read all of this. All right, the Missile Womp link. Back in August of 2014, a user by the name of Missile Womp posted the following on 4chan. I've read the second draft of Abrams' casting script. I've chosen a trip so that people can't BS in my name when trailers, other media, and the film itself confirm what I say. I won't post again until then, so as not to be accused of attention whoring. Please don't read unless you want to have the film spoiled. Leia's made the leader of the Republic after her predecessor's death. Han is a retired... Dude, what is going on with your punctuation? Han is a retired veteran of the Republic fleet. Luke hasn't been seen in nearly 30 years. First rumor to state this. The lead character is Han and Leia's daughter, stated before Daisy Ridley was cast. The other lead is the child of Lando, and either a male or female, depending on who is cast. The other lead is a stormtrooper, also either a male or female, depending on who is cast. Stated by before, who is JB? Was cast, that's the dude, John Boyega, was cast or rumored to be a stormtrooper. I don't know about that. You're saying that Finn basically was supposed to be the child of Lando Calrissian, but in the concept artwork, Finn's character is white. He's not black. The concept art of Finn didn't become a black person until John Boyega was cast. So, was he mixed? You're saying that off the top, Finn's character was going to be Lando Calrissian's son, and I don't agree with that. Maybe it was changed later, right? I'll give you that one. Whoever wrote this. Okay, dialogue for these two characters is very rough in the second draft. Luke has no known offspring. First rumor to state this. The Empire still exists in the form of a number of loyal systems that are in a state of Cold War with the Republic. The Empire is simply referred to as the Empire, and the Republic is referred to formally only once as Galactic Republic. No new anywhere. There are no Jedi whatsoever, and people still speak as if they are extinct, with Luke being the last of his kind. The main antagonists are an older student of the Emperor and his apprentice. The apprentice takes control of the power dynamic between the two pretty quickly. The Republic are excavating ruins on a neutral world for a weapon. The world factors into tense negotiations the Empire have had with the Republic and is referred to as the Sith homeworld, stated before Devin and Billy brought up a super weapon on a planet. Lore dump. In the script, the Sith are a couple thousand years old, founded by an ancestor of Palpatine called Ruin. The apprentice in this film also goes by that name. The ruins within the Sith homeworld are a control station. The planet itself is the weapon. Luke saves the day at the end, but in a bad way. He has changed. Look at that. Just look. This is in August 2014. I believe the trip was Luke being bad, with Child of Lando being a scrapped character. Okay, the casting of Rey. Do you honestly buy that two other actresses were up for the part of Rey and relegated to one-line throwaways in the film? The casting directors knew exactly who they were looking for. Just look at the early Rey concept art. In-film evidence. While Ben Solo has his mother's eyes, Rey has her father's. Rey is at home in the Falcon. It's second nature to her. She knows the ship on a personal level. Dude, I can already debunk that. Several times in the film, Rey and Han finish the other sentences, and on more than one occasion, Han looks at her like he's looking at a ghost before being overcome by blatantly obvious guilt. I posit that Han does not know Rey is his daughter, but she makes him wonder what it would be like if the other daughter he lost was still around. The other daughter being Greer Sonnel. Dude, like I said, you haven't read Rey's story or Bloodline based on what you've written so far, but I'll keep going because Bloodline fills in why Han looks at Rey the way he does. And all of the before the Force, before the Awakening, Rey's story, all of those say that when Rey is in her AT-AT home that she's built, she's got a flight simulator. She's flown the model ship that the Millennium Falcon is numerous times. So that's why she knows that, and the fact that she's been salvaging ships for most of her life. So she knows everything about how these ships are constructed, how they fly, how they operate. But I will keep going because maybe you address that later on. So I'm stealing the next line from the viral theory of Snoke's identity, which is probably going to be more BS. One of the most maligned issues in The Force Awakens is when Leia embraces Rey and not Chewbacca. It makes a little more sense if you consider she not only lost her husband that day, but her son as well. And down the ramp comes a girl that would be about the same age as the daughter she lost years ago. J.J. Abrams confirmed that when Rey and Leia embrace after they have destroyed Starkiller Base, that is the first time they've ever met. So if Leia lost a daughter and you're saying that Rey is that daughter, well, how do you explain that being the first time they met, right? Now, you can twist things if you want to like completely ignore the most logical answer, that being that they've obviously never met, and say that, well, she never met her as Rey. She never met her as Rey, right? Because cognitive dissonance is a real thing. But the most logical answer is that they never met. Additionally, Pablo Hidalgo said that Han and Leia never had relationships outside of their marriage. I don't think that they had any other children. We're just going to have to say that Ben Solo was it, right? From what we understand of the lore right now, after Ben was born, Han and Leia Han was doing his racing thing. Leia was, this video's gonna be long. Leia was doing her thing, rebuilding the New Republic, and they just didn't really spend a lot of time together, right? Even when you look at the statements that Ben makes to Rey during her interrogation, he says, oh, you see Han as the father that you've always wanted or you never had, or whatever that line goes, because of his disappointment with his father. What I'm inclined to believe is that maybe Ben wanted to be a racer, a smuggler. He wanted to be more like his father and not necessarily a Jedi, right? And so because he had daddy issues, daddy was never in the picture, never around, he had harbored some resentment for his father, right? And learning the truth about Darth Vader just widened that gap that existed with his father and created one with his mother, right? If we start getting more background information on Kylo Ren and his childhood, I'm like, if I were a betting person and I just throw out possibilities, right? I don't really create theories, but I feel pretty confident in that possibility that I've just stated, right? And I'm saying all of that because it sounds like Leia and Han weren't around each other much. Like they'd meet, spend a couple days together, but I don't think a baby resulted. And I'm not like pulling that out of nowhere. Just look at, they spent a few days together at the end of Bloodline, and then Han was in and out and and back to racing. All right, but let me get back to this. I'm just going to accept that this might be a really long video because I was not expecting this post to be, it's not as long as I thought it was. All right, so you do go and mention Kylo Ren. So Kylo Ren's behavior is also a massive clue. Ren goes from obsessing over Skywalker to obsessing over Rey in probably the span of 2 days. We'll discuss more of that in a minute. The sequel trilogy, so constructing a narrative, the sequel trilogy has a lot to live up to. The original trilogy pitted a father against his son. The prequels pitted a master against an apprentice. Do you really believe the sequel trilogy will pit a cousin against a cousin? Weak. Brother against sister. And something even more tragic than that. Again, more on this in a minute. J.J. Abrams has raved in the past about how he loves that A New Hope is a standalone film, but watching it knowing that what we know now, it's horrifying looking back to see Vader tortured his own daughter. He put in his own twist in his film. Ben tortured his sister, and the reason he's evil in the first place. And you say continued in the comments. I don't see anything else in the comments, not from you. I see comments from other people. Okay, so you got the Anastasia leak that somebody used in all right, well, I'll go ahead and read this. Again, allow me to borrow from that same Snoke theory. Anyone remember the not Disney animated feature that was the most incredible not Disney animated feature from the 90s, Anastasia? If you've never seen the film, allow me to describe a movie for you. A child helplessly watches as a means of transportation carries away the only family she has left. Years later, on the verge of adulthood, the child has been under the care of an abusive authority figure. The girl longs to leave the place, but due to circumstance cannot. The girl longingly watches a ship depart the place she is stuck. The girl rescues a helpless character and reluctantly allows it to follow her. This leads to the girl meeting a young man desperate to escape his past. The girl finally leaves the place she's been stuck for so long. The girl is abducted by the villain. The young man pursues and fights for her freedom, ending in him unconscious and the girl fearing for his life. The girl summons a power within her she didn't know she had and retrieves the villain weapon before he does, much to the surprise of the villain. The girl is reunited with her family but leaves again to embrace her destiny. I just described the plot of Anastasia, but this being a Star Wars thread, you probably picked up on some similarities to The Force Awakens. And as the original theory says, Jet Lucas has been giving us hints all along. The fall of Ben Solo. Show of hands, if I were to offer you irrefutable proof right now that Hitler was your grandfather and everyone you knew kept that secret from you, how many of you would try to incite a second Holocaust of the Jewish people? No one? So why the F does that seem like a good reason for Ben Solo to embrace the dark side? He was weak and foolish like his father. We both dealt with it in our own ways. All right, well, the thing is that Ben Solo discovers that Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, is his grandfather, and he does wipe out the Jedi Order. But the thing is, why does he do it, right? Is it because Snoke convinced him to do it? I think there's more to the fall and the turn of Ben Solo, and I'm going to see, okay, so you say you did address Bloodline, so I'm going to keep reading. So here's what I'm prepping you for. What's better than the twin dynamic between Jason and Jaina Solo? How about Kylo Ren turning to the dark side because of the disappearance of his... Dude, this is sounding like this freaking Boba Fett is Snoke theory that I debunked a long time ago. Kylo Ren blaming Han for abandoning the family after Rey's disappearance. Snoke arranging Rey's abduction to begin corrupting Ben, then to convince Ben his father is weak and foolish. Now, Kylo Ren's behavior in The Force Awakens makes more sense. He becomes obsessed with Rey because she's a young girl strong with the Force like his sister would be. Snoke arranges for Rey to be abducted and killed, but unbeknownst to him, the abductor has a change of heart and abandons the girl on Jakku instead. This is also one of the only ways Ben can be redeemed after killing Han, if he was victim of an elaborate scheme. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to read your Bloodline argument to see what you have to say here. Okay, first, the story group isn't even going to hint at a reveal this big in a book. Second, they specifically make it a point to tell the reader that Leia does not dwell on the tragedies in her life. Losing a child would certainly be a tragedy. Or how about the destruction of your home planet, everyone you've known, your parents, like basically your entire past is wiped out in a moment because the Death Star wiped that out. And then you have to deal with the fact that your father, your true actual father, did torture you and nearly killed your twin brother, who you also didn't know about. Like, Leia's life has not been, great, right? It hasn't been great. So you talk about tragedies. Yes, losing a child would be a tragedy, but you're completely ignoring everything else that's happened to Princess Leia in her past, right? Now, you say Rey is absolutely not Luke's daughter. I agree with you there. The only evidence people seem to come up with is she's an orphan on a desert planet, aka non-hereditary stuff, aka misdirection. Said it before, I'll say it again. Luke abandoned the galactic civil war to try to redeem his father. He would not rest if he had a daughter that went missing. That makes sense. You're responding to comments. So I don't see what's definitive that Rey is a solo. I'm not seeing it here. Like, you basically presented, cause I'm starting to get hot now. It was cold, but you basically presented the same argument that somebody else did in their video where Boba Fett is Snoke, right? If Rey, was abducted by someone and then left on Jakku, like J.J. Abrams says that that what we're seeing in the Force back vision is Rey being taken away from her parents. Now, is it that ship, that those were the people that left her on Jakku? So it's, well, or is it, as he says, Rey is being taken away from her parents, meaning Unkar Plutt is taking her away as her parents are flying away. And then the statement about that from Daisy Ridley, that she thought it was obvious that Rey's parents are in The Force Awakens, right? Now, is it obvious because Leia and Han Solo are her parents? Now, I mean, that's a possibility. It's not one that I accept, because we haven't heard anything about Leia having another child, right? Until we have that, there's that big gaping hole in all of this. And then, like I've said, Han Solo in Bloodlines, because you say you're addressing the Bloodline argument, but you're overlooking the introduction of this character, Greer Sano, who Han Solo wanted to take her under his wing. If Kylo Ren, if Ben Solo knew about Greer, and he says, why is father why does he want to mentor her? What about me? I get sent off to Uncle Luke and I got to do this Jedi thing. I want to be a pilot and fly too. Like, you're ignoring, if we're making things up and we're creating things out of nowhere, then I'm going to create the possibility that Kylo Ren didn't want to be or Ben Solo didn't want to be a Jedi. He wanted to be a smuggler and a racer like Han Solo, like his father, like Daddy, right? But Daddy didn't want to spend time because he was off having fun at the races, literally, and teaching these young pilots and taking them under his wing. Like, wouldn't that make you a little bit selfish, or I won't say selfish, but upset? Or wouldn't that be a possibility to create some daddy issues? I mean, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to anybody that's thinking that way, that if you're a kid and your father's out of the picture, but he's spending time with these young pilots and taking them under his wing, and you think racing is cool, that's going to create a little bit of tension. Wouldn't you say so? So since we're making things up, I'm going to make that up. I'm going to say that Ben Solo didn't want to be a Jedi. He wanted to be a pilot like his father. His father took these new racers, these young pilots under his wing, Greer Sano being one of them. Greer contracted bloodborne disorder, so she had to stop racing. She had to stop working with Han. Han sent her to Leia to be her pilot, her attaché or assistant, back on Hosnian Prime. And since we're talking about you're addressing the Bloodline argument, that's in Bloodline. Like I don't like when people say, I'm going to address this argument in this book, but it's like they didn't actually read the book. And I'm not accusing Teddy B, the greatest of all time, of not reading the book, but your argument completely overlooks and ignores Greer Sano. So anytime somebody says, well, look at the way Han looked at Rey, I'm going to say, is it because Rey reminds him of Greer? Is that why he offered her a job? Is that why he wanted her on his team? Because he wanted to give her the opportunity that Greer didn't have? That's something that's a legit concern. So when people say, well, Prince, I don't agree with you and I'm going to find holes in that. Well, fine. You know what? Find loopholes, because all I'm offering is alternative points of view. I've not presented a theory at all. I don't think I ever do. I just present alternative points of view. So when we talk about Han's relationship with Rey, I think it's because Han wanted to give Rey the opportunity that Greer Sano never had. Okay. And I'm going to stay with that until Pablo Hidalgo, Rain Roberts, Matt, somebody from the story group says that was really a misdirection. Until we find that out, that's what I'm sticking with, is that Han's relationship with Rey was to mirror the relationship with Greer Sano. It's possible that by the time we get to The Force Awakens, unfortunately, the bloodborne disorder has taken her life, or maybe the First Order killed her. But until we see her on screen in a movie, or we hear something in a book to come, she died in between the 5 years of Leia building the Resistance when they leave Hosnian Prime and go to the base on Dakar, right? And that would give even more reason for Han to want to connect with Rey in memory of Greer Sano, right? And that's really my big argument to debunk the definitive case for Rey Solo, because this isn't a definitive case at all. You basically taken what somebody else said from their speculation that Supreme Leader Snoke is Boba Fett, and tossed out that part and just said that Rey is obviously the daughter of Leia and Han, when we have no evidence of that at this point. And I can say the same for like the Rey is Luke Skywalker. Like there are similar themes in Rey, Anakin, and Luke, but if there's something here on Reddit, you guys can tweet it to me, whatever. And I'll take a look at it. I'll read it on camera. And if I'm impressed, you guys will get to see me say, okay, I could buy that. But, so far I haven't seen anything to convince me that Rey is a Solo or a Skywalker. But I'm going to wrap this up because this is like a 30-minute video now. But what do you guys think about this? Is this the definitive case? Does this convince you that Rey is the daughter of Leia and Han? And then how do they even present that? Because Han Solo, the character, died in episode 7, and unfortunately Carrie Fisher is no longer with us. So maybe they take it up in episode 8, and that's Carrie Fisher wrapped up all of her scenes. So in a year from now, I'm hoping that we will know definitively that Rey is not a Skywalker or a Solo, or maybe she is, and I'll just have to eat crow and say, you know what? I didn't see it. They did a good job of presenting misdirections and making it unclear for me. But for now, I don't think that Rey is part of the Skywalker family at all. And I kind of don't think she's a Kenobi either. And I know people have said, well, it's obvious she has ties to Obi-Wan Kenobi because he talks to her in her vision, right? But so does Yoda. And I don't see any videos saying that Rey is a reincarnation of Yoda. Rey is Yoda's great-great-granddaughter. Yoda had a humanoid child or a humanoid descendants, and that's how we get Rey. Like, Yoda talks for half of Rey's vision. Obi-Wan Kenobi talks for the other half. And who are the only two Jedi Masters who went on to become Force Ghosts? Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I think that's the reason for the connection with them and their presence in her vision, but we'll have to wait and see. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Go ahead, make the commitment to using your love for Star Wars to help you become a better person, make real life changes, and to improve your community. Make sure you check out some of my other Rey Identity videos and weigh in, leave your thoughts on some of the other things I had to say. But that's all I've got for this one, so thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the Force be with you always.